Okay, I am not forgetting about my July manga. It's the end of June, so I still have time. We only have 6 choices left for the year, and I counted it, and then I actually sat here and was like, okay, July, August, September, October, November, December. And I was like, oh my God, there really are only 6 months left in the year. The year is half over, and I didn't want to think about it, nor did I want to hear it. So you get to hear it too. You're welcome. So we're going to shuffle. We're going to shuffle 7 times because I don't like even numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Now let's see which one it lands on. Like, I think I'd be fine with any of these. If you watched my last episode on the Chainsaw Man manga, I wasn't expecting my reaction to be what it was. So, and I'm excited for all of these. A couple a little more than others. So let's see what we get. I don't think I have a preference at this point. I was really excited about this one though. This was one that I was kind of a little more excited than the others, I will say. Kaiju number 8. I saw this one. I just saw the cover in the store and I immediately grabbed it, and it sounded really funny. It sounded really interesting. I really like the movie Pacific Rim. The second one was fine. It was okay, but the first one, I think it's a good time. I like monster movies, and I had a really good time in Pacific Rim, okay? So this one, right up my alley. I was like, there was big monsters, and humans are fighting big monsters. They're in robots fighting big monsters. Sign me up. And I think that's what is similar to what's going on in here. Like, there's kaijus, that the highest kaiju emergence rates in the world. That's what's going on. So there's a Japan Defense Force. That's where, it's based in Japan. So that's where we're going to be situated right now. The main guy has always dreamed of being on the Defense Force. And I think he ends up getting turned into a kaiju. But I think he's also part human. I think he's like part of the cleanup crew, but then somehow gets turned into a kaiju. But also maybe he's somehow part human, and, obviously there is the woman of his dreams involved. I'm excited to get to this one. So I will let you know what I think of it. Hopefully it lives up to my expectations. It's monsters, man. It's big monsters, and the humans have to fight them, and everybody knows about them. I think that's what's fun to me is like, it's not just some people running around being like, oh my God, monsters, and there's like a secret task force. It's just a regular occurrence. Bob is trying to go to work and hears on the news like, Highway 42 has been taken out again by the kaiju, and he's like, damn it, man, now I gotta go around. I'm gonna be late again. So I just think these kinds of stories are really fun. So stay tuned. We'll find out what's going on with the kaijus. Welcome back for another manga review. I have another cat sitting right here. It's not Bo this time, it's Beyonce. I'm gonna put her right here. She's being real cute. I tried to sit close to her and I moved the couch a little bit and she made a protesting sound, so I can't sit too close. Because then she rolls away. But anyways, we're back with our July manga, Kaiju number 8. This was easily, not to push aside any of the other manga that I've read so far, because I've had overall a really good time. But I just really enjoy, I know this isn't a movie, but I really enjoy monster movies like Kaiju, like the Pacific Rim movies. I really enjoy Godzilla. I enjoy dinosaurs, so this was right up my alley. I had a really good time with this. I was having fun right off the bat, and I continued to have fun all the way through the book. Yeah, we're in a heat advisory right now, like a lot of places in the country, and it's really hot. But at least we don't have kaiju, I guess. I live in a landlocked state, So I don't have to worry about kaiju, rising out of the ocean, which is what happens in this book. If you've seen Pacific Rim, then kaiju are basically giant monsters. Think Godzilla, but different. Some of them have different powers and they're all different shapes and sizes. And they rise up out of the ocean, and we don't know at first where they come from. Like, where are they? Where are they coming from? What's going on? Who put them there? But they come up out of the ocean and then they start terrorizing every city and it's really just Japan because that's the closest country that they're near. So that's unfortunately the country that gets terrorized. Same in this book. At least I don't have to worry about that because I just have a bunch of lakes. I live in Minnesota. So maybe you know what though? There are tiny, there's miniature sized kaiju. And I think it's hold on, I gotta find the name. So unless there are yoju, which are residual kaiju, they're smaller because there's the main kaiju. I'm gonna have to look that one up as well. There's two different types. There's the bigger one, the main kaiju, and then there are smaller ones that are residual kaiju. Okay, think of it kind of how sharks swimming around in water, and then you have remora fish that stick to the sharks. You'll see them kind of on the tail end, literally the tail end of a shark, and they'll kind of hang out for a free ride or to get the scraps of whatever the sharks don't eat, or they'll kind of dart in and grab whatever they can off of a shark. That's what the smaller kaiju are. So you have the big boys and then the smaller boys. So unless the smaller boys start rising up out of the lakes, I don't have to worry about it. Moving on, of course you have the people who fight the kaiju. You've got your defense force. And, they're out there with the big guns handling the big boys and the small boys. What do you do after they've gotten the kaiju down and they got all the glory and people shouting their names and they're like, okay, cool, we got them down. We neutralized them. You got to get rid of them. You can't just leave the kaiju hanging out in the road. People still got to get to work. They still got to get to the library. They still got to get to the coffee shop. They still got places to go. If you've got a giant monster in the street, that's blocking traffic, okay? We got places to be. We don't have time for this. So there is a neutralization cleanup crew, a kaiju cleanup crew. There's actually multiple. So there's different ones. There's not just the one. There's not a monopoly, which is very good. And that's where we meet our two protagonists. We meet Kafka, he's been in the game for a while. He actually tried out for the neutralization force, the defense force. He wanted to be one of the guys who's out there fighting the kaiju with the guns. He didn't pass the exams, though. That's okay. He went into cleanup crew duty. It's still needed. It's still necessary. And then along comes a younger guy. I think he's 18, so he's fresh out of school. His name is Ichikawa. And kind of got a little bit of an attitude to him. He learns that Kafka kind of gave up on his dreams to join the defense force. He didn't fully pass because there's two parts to the defense force exam. And so he's kind of given up on it. And Ichikawa's like, all right, well, I kind of don't respect you for that. And Kafka's like, WTF, man, we just met, brother. What are you even talking about? We just met. You ain't got to come at me with this smoke. It's okay, though, because our boys, they figure it out. They start getting along. Kafka kind of takes them under his wing. He's teaching him the ins and outs and the intestines. That's not where you want to be. It smells really bad in there, okay? Because think about it. The intestines of a kaiju. You don't want to be in there. So anyways, one day, the crew is all out there. They're cleaning up. The rest of them are gone. These two, our boys, they're still out there. They're just kind of getting ready. They're packing up. They're getting ready to go. When all of a sudden, residual kaiju out of nowhere. Residual kaiju out of nowhere. And so Kafka pushes Ichikawa out of the way. He gets a little hurt in the process. And he's telling the kid, he's like, get out of here. Go sound the alarm, kind of save yourself. He's trying to get the kid out of the way so he doesn't get hurt. Cause he's there's no reason that both of us should get hurt or God forbid, both of us should die. He's trying to protect him.
because the kid wants to go on to the Defense Force. And so he took this cleaning job on as like part-time. He runs off, sounds the alarm, but he comes back. And he's like, I'm not leaving you. I couldn't, go join the Defense Force and leave you behind. I wouldn't be able to do that. So they're there, they're fighting side by side. Kafka's hurt. Well, they're both a little bit hurt. And then the top neutralization force in Japan, her name's Mina, okay? And so Mina and Kafka, they go way back. They were friends from like a long, long time ago. And she's like not only the top baddie, just in general, she looks like a baddie, but like she's the top baddie of all the neutralization baddies, okay? She comes in, she heard the alarm, she rushes in, gets the kaiju down, everything's cool. So our boys are in the hospital, right? Okay, well, it turns out, like, I think he got bit or something. Something weird happened. I still kind of don't fully understand. Like, it kind of looked like a little mini kaiju. It kind of looked like he got bit, and I thought that's what happened, but then I was like, I don't think that's what happened. Our boys are in the hospital, and Kafka wakes up, and, they're kind of chit-chatting, but then it looks like a little mini kaiju, like, flies in the hospital room, and he to Kafka, he goes, found you, and, like, goes into his body. So Kafka's like, what the hell just happened? And he doesn't realize that he has morphed into a kaiju. He's a kaiju himself now. Obviously, that causes a little bit of chaos in the hospital, and an alarm sounds and they have to run. Also, this is what the residual kaiju looked like, and that's really scary. Like, it kind of looks like a weird human skeletal face. I just wanted to show you. Yeah, so this man, he's walking around like this in the hospital. That's going to cause a little bit of an issue, That's understandable. People are going to kind of freak out at that. The boys are now on the run. We do a little bit of a jump cut to about 3 months later. And when the Bureau finds a kaiju that it's a little harder to take down than normal, they number it. It goes into a little bit of a different system, and they put it into a different numbering system that they have. He ends up as kaiju number 8, but he also hasn't been spotted. He's doing better about hiding his kaiju self, so he can make the kaiju appear, and then he can retract the kaiju at will. So that's really neat and very helpful. But he's done a good job of keeping it at bay. It'll resurface from time to time, I guess, if he's not thinking about it, but he's done a good job. He hasn't been spotted. It turns out that the Defense Force has raised the age limit for applying to the academy, applying to be on the force, to 33. Kafka, he's 32. So our boy's pushing it. He's right there at the limit. And he's like, this is my last chance. He's kind of like, this is a sign. Him and Ichikawa, they're like, this is it. We have to. We've got to go for it. Ichikawa, he's only 18. He was planning on going for it this entire time. And Kafka was like, absolutely. He was also wanting him to continue to go for it. But they're both like, this is the final chance that you've got, Kafka. You have to go for it. So they both apply. They both pass the preliminary testing, which is great. And then they get into basically the final exams. It's like a 2-parter. The first part is a fitness exam. Kafka, he's not doing too great. Although, listen, do you like my sticker? I got this at Pride Parade. I'm going to put it on my bike whenever I get one. Again, the first part is a fitness exam. Most of them doing pretty good. Kafka, he's not doing super hot. He hasn't trained super well, and also not a spring chicken. He's kind of still young and whimsical, but not as young and whimsical as the other ones. However, Kafka, please, what do you mean? This panel, is this what they mean when it all goes downhill in your 30s? Sir, I'm going to be 39 next month. Sir, please. It made me laugh, but I was like, sir, please. Come on, man. You're 32. But he does, make it through the fitness part. He's like 219, I think, out of 225. So he's not like anywhere close to the like middle of the pack, because I think he mentions the last time he took the fitness exam, he said he was like close to the back of the middle of the pack. Okay, well, this time he's like me in a race. He's back of the pack. But you know what? Back of the pack is always the party. So back of the pack is always the party group. And that's where it's at, okay? Okay, now our boys, they've made it through the fitness part of the exam. That's done. It's over. We ain't got to worry about it anymore, okay? Let's all take a water break. Let's catch our breath. Now, the second part of the exam is interesting because it's always kind of kept under wraps. It's more about aptitude, but you never really know what you're going to get. It's kind of like Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. They try to keep it more of a secret because they don't want the secret getting out, because then people will be able to prepare for it. So I do think that's interesting, and I did like that, because if everybody knew what it was and it was the same thing every year, obviously everyone could be like, okay, well, it's this thing. I can just, I can study for that, or I could practice this, and then, that's too easy. That's no fun. But Ichikawa said like, hey, listen, man, I've heard the past 2 years, what they've done is kind of focus on kaiju cleanup, like neutralization cleanup stuff, because they want folks to be a little more well-rounded, not just the Defense Force taking out the kaiju and like, that's it, hands off, we're done. They want their folks to be a little more well-rounded and to know a little bit more in depth about the kaiju and like the different parts of the kaiju. Kafka's like, oh my God, this is fantastic. He's like, that's literally my job. That's literally what I do. I've done this job for years. Fantastic. And Ichikawa's like, that's actually why I took this part-time job, is because that's what I heard. And so I thought, okay, well, let me take this part-time job, get a little more knowledge just in case maybe that shows up on the second part of the exam. And you know what? That's not a bad take. That's not a bad idea. However, when he said that, I was like, okay, listen though, my guy, you just said they did that for the past 2 years, which if they've done that 2 years in a row, high chance they're going to change it up on you. I'm kind of surprised they did it 2 years in a row. If you had said they've done that twice now in the past, 5 years, potentially they could have done it this year, but you just said they've done it 2 years in a row. Probably going to change it up. And guess what? They changed it up because everybody gets to the gates of exam number 2. And these gates are like walls to a city. Everybody's standing there. They're like, oh my God, what's going on? Part 2 of the exam is to neutralize kaiju. They have to go in. They have set up a little mini urban city center. And they have 36 kaiju, both big boys and small boys. And they have to neutralize all the kaiju. That's part 2. It makes sense. I get it. Because the proctors will get to see all the trainees in action. And, again, they've done something for the same thing for the past 2 years, so they're changing it up a little bit. It makes sense. However, Ichikawa's kind of like, oh, okay, wasn't expecting that. And Kafka, he straight up was like, you said it was going to be this. He's like, I just told you what I heard what they did the past 2 years. They kind of weren't expecting that. They kind of weren't ready for it. The boys are just going to have to get ready because we're going in and we're going in hot. Everybody gets suited up in the special Defense Force kaiju suits, and the suits themselves, when you get hooked up to it, it tells you how much energy you're outputting. Each person outputs a different amount of energy. I'm really not sure how that works. Don't ask me to explain that. It's just everybody puts out a different amount of energy. I don't know how. I don't know why. You just do. Ichikawa puts out 8% energy. That's not bad. He's brand new. He hasn't been training. I don't think he's hunted any kaiju. He hasn't really been officially trained. I don't think that's bad. And honestly, they say at one point, getting people that are over 10% for like trainees, that's not something they get very often. So I think that's probably pretty average. The top people that they're watching, there's 3 main ones, like the top 3 people that finished first in the fitness exam, or like, I guess, first, second, third. They're putting out like 14%, 15%, 17%, or like 18%, something like that. So those 3 people, you know, obviously they're impressive. Eyes are on them, and the people, the proctors, they're like, oh, okay, like we're also shocked. Normally we don't, you know, even get maybe 1 person outputting over 10%. Now we've got 3. However, there's actually 2 howevers, because Kafka, the proctor's talking to Ichikawa, and he's like, hey, man, don't worry about it. Like 8% is nothing to turn your nose up at. You're not fully trained. You're not on the defense force. Like, it's fine. As long as you're not outputting 0, like, you're okay. You're outputting something. I've never even seen anyone not output anything. Kafka outputs 0. How? I don't know. I don't think any of them know, because they're like, that's got to be a mistake. He's outputting 0%. Big old goose egg. I don't know what's going on there. Again, I don't know how it works, but our boy, he ain't putting out any energy, so he's gonna struggle. And then the other, however, we meet another character before they start the exam, when our boys roll up to the National Defense Force training, and they're getting ready to walk into the building to start exam number 1. She's younger. I think she's also probably like 18 years old, but she's kind of child prodigy, and she's got a lot of attitude, but she can back it up. And you know what? If you got the attitude, but you can back it up, I don't know, maybe you need to step out of the way. Kikoru. Okay, our girl, Kikoru, she is kind of a badass. She kind of has a lot of attitude, but she can back up every damn word of it. Turns out she's the daughter of like some general, and it's actually kind of sad, because we get a little bit of like flashbacks from her in the latter half of the book, at the very, very end, of her dad just, her mom, I think, died when she was young, and her dad's just kind of like, you should be perfect. And she gets like top scores in her exam, like when she's like really, really little kid. And her dad's like, okay, and that's expected of you. Why are you expecting me to praise you? It's that kind of situation. But our girl, she's a baddie, and she's putting out 46% in her kaiju suit. I don't even know how much power is outputted by like the current captain, who is this person, Mina. That's the person that Kafka was best friends with when they were kids. They're kind of like on the same level of baddie. So everybody gets suited up. Kikoru is like clearly probably the best person they have there. They get out into the field, and everybody just charges forward, because each person, you can kind of tell, is like mostly thinking, I'm going to be the one to take out all of these kaiju. I'm just going to do me. And our boys are in the back, you know. Ichikawa's putting out 8% power, and then poor Kafka is putting out 0%. So he's really struggling, because they each get a gun to shoot the kaiju, and these are actual kaiju. They pick them up from like, I guess, other areas, like other times of attacks, and then just kept them in holding for this specific training event. So that's really interesting. And that comes into play later too. But our boys are given guns, and Kafka is dragging his gun along, and he's saying out loud, he's either thinking it or saying it, this gun is really heavy, and without the help of the suit's power, the gun's really heavy and I can't really lift it that well. So that's really interesting. It's like the suit is lending power to you to actually use the weapons that you're given to defeat the kaiju. So if you're not outputting anything, or if you're outputting very, very low amounts of power, you're gonna have a bad time, and it's not gonna go very well. But our boys are out there, they're very last, and they're kind of looking around going, we're gonna have a bad time. Like, we're gonna be struggling. We can't keep up with everybody else because everybody else is moving, they're going, they're stronger, they're faster. And they kind of stop and go, okay, listen, we're gonna have to make this work for us. What can we do? What can we do to, we can't keep up with people. So how can we turn this around and still, make this work? How can we still pass this exam? Because they've also got these little drones flying around, one drone for each person. And they notice that and they're like, that's kind of weird, because if they wanted to see like how many kaiju each person killed, they could just, count the sensors later or something. So they must want a little bit more information than that. And they go, you know what? We can be backup. We can provide cover and we can be backup for everybody else. And I really resonated with that because I also feel like I'm one of those people who are in the background, because sometimes you're going to be a background person. Not everyone can be a front man or a front runner. Not all the time are you going to be that person who's going to be in the front. You're not always going to be the face of the team, the face of the company, the face of the whatever. And you may not get all the praise and the people being like, oh my God, I know that person. I know their name. I know their face. There's going to be people behind you supporting you at the end of the day to help you, the face of the company or the face of the team, still get things done and accomplish the goals. And that's what our boys are doing. And that really resonated with me because I relate to that, because I feel like that's me. I was like, you know what? Also good for you guys, because they could have just been like, I don't know, man, we're just kind of screwed. But they said, no, we can provide cover and we can do our best. And so they see a small group of other trainees and they're going after one kaiju. And so they're like, all right, let's go provide cover. And while they're running, Kafka goes, I know this kaiju. We cleaned up one of these types of kaijus over on this other job site. And he throws a stun grenade and it stuns the kaiju. And he yells to the other guys. He tells them the weak spot. He goes, aim for the stomach. The stomach is the weak spot. And so the guys aim for the stomach. They take it out. And I was like, that's so smart. This is how you work as a team. I was like, you've got these two guys, especially Kafka, who's been on the cleanup crew for I don't even know how long at this point. He's going to know all these different types of kaiju. He's going to know their weak points. He's going to know what their weak spots are and what their weaknesses are, what potentially could help take them down. So while he may not be the person who's like running the fastest or the strongest, he probably can't even really pick up his gun because he's outputting 0% energy. He can help on the knowledge side. The boys can help provide cover and they can help provide knowledge so we can take down these kaiju a lot faster. So they finally get all the kaiju down. Kikaru, she kind of takes care of most of them and she takes care of the final big boy baddie. The simulation's over, everything's done, and the proctor gets on the microphone. He's like, okay,
cool guys, come on back.
Everybody's chilling. Everybody starts heading back. And then all of a sudden, Kikaru, she notices a weird shape in the distance. She's like, what's that? And then gets shot? Girl, what? And she falls down. I thought girlfriend was dead. I was like, what just happened? And we still have a little bit of book left. I was like, what just happened? It's like another kaiju. Hold on. So she's on the ground. She's not dead yet because she was able to direct the shield of her suit over her heart. That weird, smaller kaiju person, he resurrects big boy baddie. And all of a sudden, all of the kaiju in the arena, the big boys and the small boys, start getting resurrected. What the hell is going on? And I had a thought right before I started filming this. So remember how I said how the Bureau, they'll number certain kaiju that are kind of hard to take down. They'll put them in a different numbering system. Like kaiju, he ends up as kaiju number 8. What if the guy that's resurrecting all the kaiju, because that's all I can assume, is that because he resurrected Big Baddie Boy, he's also resurrecting all the other kaiju. What if he's one of these numbered kaiju? What if he's kaiju number 1? What if he's the first kaiju they numbered? Because he's also speaking, English, so I can read it, but he's speaking words that Kikaru can understand. He's not speaking like an alien language. He's not, he's talking to the kaiju, the big boy, but Kikaru can understand him because she's like, he's talking. So that's weird too. Oh my God, what if he's also like Kafka? What if he was turned? What if all the numbered ones are just like Kafka and they were like turned into kaiju, but this guy, he went rogue? Oh my God, what if that happened? So all the kaiju, all 36, mind you, they're resurrected. They're fine now. And all the people who are like watching this from the little training examination thing, they're like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? And they're like, okay, get into a little safe zone. And they're, Mina's up there too, the director, or not the director, but the leader of the 3rd division, like the best division in Japan. Also, I forgot to say that Mina has like a tiger. That had nothing to do with what's going on right now, but I just remembered I needed to tell you, and it's really cute. Mina's there, and she's watching this, and they're deploying her. If she's like, well, okay, well, I'm going. They're going to go. They're going to try to get all these kaiju, because all of them are out. They're all resurrected again, and they're telling all the trainees, they're like, go find a place to hide. Go hide somewhere. Kikaru is all by herself. Like, girlfriend was like way ahead. She was just out in front of the bag by herself. I was like, she ain't gonna make it. Because that weird kaiju, the random rogue kaiju, he like shoots her a couple more times like with his hand. He just kind of like does this move and like bam, 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 bam. And all of a sudden she got more holes in her than Swiss cheese. So she's on the ground. She's still trying to fight, man. She is like baddie to the max. She's still trying to fight. Still trying to grab her gun, but now she's full of holes. She's about to get eaten by the big baddie kaiju when all of a sudden, like, everybody else, they're in the back. But our boys, they ran up there. I mean, I didn't see Ichikawa. He's probably like running up behind. But Kafka, he has transformed into kaiju number 8. And he said, Kikaru, you've done well. Because she's been having like these flashbacks of her dad telling her like, you need to be perfect. You need to be perfect. You're basically like, you're not good enough. And so she's having like this mental turmoil of like, sorry, I'm not perfect. Sorry, Dad, I wasn't perfect. And so like in the middle of like about to be eaten, and here comes Kafka, our boy, and he's like, you've done well. I've got this. What a lad. What a lad. So we've got Kafka in kaiju form, Kikaru, Swiss cheese form, Ichikawa, he's hanging out. He's there. He's backup boy form. He's backup boy. He doesn't have a cool nickname yet. I'm sorry. But we end with Kafka facing down the big bad boy kaiju so that Kikaru does not get eaten. And I am absolutely continuing this series because monsters are really fun and I had a really good time. I kind of figured I would have fun with this book because I know it's kind of goofy, but like I enjoyed Pacific Rim a lot. The first one, the second one was fine, but like the first one I had a lot of fun with because it's monsters and then you also have robots and you use them to fight the monsters. I really enjoyed this so much. The characters are a lot of fun. They have really good banter. Kafka and Ichikawa, they both have really good banter. And I'm enjoying the characters that are getting introduced. We don't learn a lot about Mina, who is the lead, like the team leader of Japan's head neutralization force. So what I'm thinking, we get a couple of little flashbacks between her and Kafka as they're kids. We're probably going to get more like of her perspective and about her as well in later volumes. I'm 100% continuing this. I'm really excited. This is going to be along the same lines for me as Didark. I looked it up earlier and right now I think there are 16 volumes, so I have a little ways to go. I have quite a bit to catch up on, but that's kind of fun because it means I won't have to wait super long if there's only like 3 and then there's like a 4th one coming out. I won't have to wait a long time. I've got 15 more volumes that I can read. But let me know if you have read Kaiju number 8. Let me know what you thought about it. If you haven't read it, and even if you watched this whole video, I think you should read it anyway because I left quite a bit out. And it's really fun. The panels, fantastic. The artwork, really nice. The monsters are kind of scary. Some of the faces are very human-like, very humanoid, and it's unnerving. But then you get some that actually look like more monster-ish, monster-y. Some look more like what you would think of, or like, I guess what I would think of if I would to say like, you know, kaiju, monster, Godzilla, that type of situation. You do get some of those as well. But if you like monster books, if you like movies like Pacific Rim, if you like Godzilla movies, then I think you would enjoy this a whole lot. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.